to be reading more Five Nights at Freddy's The Silver Eyes. So here we go. Let's find where we were last time. To recap, the door was partially cracked, and as she opened it, she had a giddy feeling of displacement, as through her younger self might be sitting there among her toys, might look up and ask, "Charlie, who are you?" Charlie went in like the rest of the house. Her bedroom was untouched. The walls were pale pink, and the ceiling, which sloped dramatically on one side to follow the line of the roof, was painted to match her old bed, still stood against the wall, beneath a large window. The mattress was still intact, though the sheets were gone. The window was cracked slightly, open, and rotting lace curtains waved in the gentle breeze. From outside, there was a dark water stain in the paint beneath the window, where the weather had gotten in over the years, betraying the house's neglect. Charlie climbed onto the bed and forced the window shut. It obeyed with a screech, and Charlie stepped back and turned her attention to the rest of the room, to her father's creations. Their first night in the house, Charlie had been afraid to sleep alone. She did not remember the night, but her father had told her about it often enough that the story had taken on the quality of memory. She sat up and wailed until her father came to find her, until he scooped her up and held her, and promised her he would make sure she was never alone again. The next morning he took her by the hand and led her to the garage, where he set to work, keeping that promise. The first of his inventions was a purple rabbit, now gray with age from years of sitting in the sunlight. Her father had named him Theodore. He was the size of a 3-year-old, child her size at the time, and he had plush fur, shining eyes, and a dapper red coat. He didn't do much, only waved a hand, tilted his head to the side, and said in her father's voice, "I love you, Charlie." But it was enough to give her night watcher, someone to keep her company when she could not sleep right. Now Theodore sat in a white wicker chair in the far corner of the room. Charlie waved at him, but not activated. He did not wave back. After Theodore, the toys got more complex. Some worked and some did not. Some seemed to have permanent glitches, while others simply did not. while others simply did not appeal to Charlie's childish imagination. She knew her father took those back to his workshop and recycled them for parts, though she did not like to watch them be dismantled. But the ones that were kept, those she loved, they were here now looking at her, expectantly, smiling. Charlie pushed a button beside her bed. It gave way stiffly, but nothing happened. She pushed it again, holding it down longer, and this time, across the room, and with the weary creak of metal on metal, the unicorn began to move. The unicorn Charlie had named him Stanley. For some reason, she could no longer remember. Was made of metal, and had been painted glossy white. He trundled around the room on a circular track, bobbing his head stiffly. Up and down the track squealed as Stanley rounded the correct and came to a stop beside the bed. Charlie knelt beside him on the floor and patted his flank. His glossy paint was chipped and peeling, and his face had given over to rust. His eyes were lively, gazing out on the decay. "You need a new coat of paint, Stanley," Charlie said. The unicorn started ahead, unresponsive. At the foot of her bed, there was a wheel made of patched together metal. It had always reminded her of something she might find on a submarine. Charlie turned it. It stuck for a moment, then gave way, rotating, as it always did, and across the room, the smallest closet door swung open. Out sailed Ella on her track, a child-sized doll, bearing a teacup and saucer. It in her tiny hands like an offering. Ella's plaid dress was still crisp, and her patient leather shoes still shone. Perhaps the closet had protected her from the damage of the damp. Charlie had an identical outfit back when she and Ella were the same height. "Hi, Ella," she said softly as the wheel unwound. Ella retreated to the closet again. Charlie followed her. Again, the door closing behind her. Charlie followed her. The closet had been built to ally with the slant of the ceiling, and there were 3 of them. Ella lived in a short one, which was about 3.5 feet tall. Next to it was one a foot or so taller. And the third closet to the bedroom door was the same height as the rest of it. She smiled, remembering. "Why do you have 3 closets?" John had demanded. The first time he came over, she looked at him, blankly confused by the question. "'Cause that's how many there are," she said, finally. She pointed defensively to the little one. That one's Ella's anyway," she added. John nodded, satisfied. Charlie shook her head and opened the door to the middle closet, or tried to. The knob stopped with a jolt. It was locked. She rattled a few times, but gave up without much conviction. She stayed crouched, low to the floor, and glanced up the tallest closet, her big girl closet, that she would someday grow into. "You won't need it until you're bigger," her father would say. But that day never came. The door now hung. Alright guys, I think that's a good place to stop. I'm sorry it was so short, but it's getting late and I'm getting a little tired. I got school tomorrow, so I hope you guys enjoyed this story. We'll do some more of this tomorrow, hopefully. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe, comment, like, and show your friends.